Good day, grade 11s. Today we are going to look at finding the equation of a line. Okay, if you remember, we've got three types of lines. We've got a horizontal line, straight line, which is parallel to the x-axis, and we said the equation there is calculated as, or you write it as y equals to c. C being the point where it cuts the y-axis, so this is where your C is. And then we've got a vertical line, and now we say it is x equals to d being the point where it cuts the x-axis. So remember, when it cuts the x-axis, it will say x equals to. If it cuts the y-axis, it will say y equals to. And then we've got the slanting line, this one that looks like this, like that. So this is your line, and this is your x-axis, and this is your y-axis. Okay, so there we use this equation: y minus y1 equals to m times x minus x1, where m is the gradient, which simplifies to y is equals to mx plus c, the standard form of a straight slanting line, or a linear function. Now, before we do this, I just want us to remind each other of the relationship between the gradients before we do the examples. Okay, if you look here, this example, it says calculate the gradient. So like you have seen, we need the gradient. So calculate the gradient of AB and of CD, which is parallel to AB, and the gradient of EF, which is perpendicular to AB. Okay, so we are given the two coordinates. A is 4, 8, and B is the origin. Usually the origin they just denote as O, but I chose to to call it B. Now remember, the origin, the coordinate, whenever the origin is involved, they'll just use the word origin. So you must know that the origin is 0, 0. So this coordinate is not going to be given most of the time. You have to know it for yourself. Okay, so the first thing that I'll do is to calculate the gradient of AB. So it is ya minus yb over xa minus xb, which then gives me 8 minus 0 over 4 minus 0. Then the gradient of AB is equals to 2. Now the question says CD is parallel to AB. So if they are parallel, it means that the gradient of CD is going to be the same as the gradient of AB. Then you just conclude, and then you say the gradient of CD is equals to 2. Okay, and then EF is perpendicular. So EF is perpendicular to AB. So if it is perpendicular to AB, the relationship between the gradients is such that the gradient of EF is going to be the negative reciprocal of the gradient of AB. So E gradient here, A being 2, and then the negative reciprocal, so it's going to be negative and then 1 over 2. So you just reciprocate this. Remember, this is 2 over 1, so you reciprocate and you put the negative sign. So 2 over 1, when you reciprocate, you flip it over, it gives you 1 over 2. So it's going to be negative 1 over 2. Okay, so this is an important exercise to do before we do the equations. So this is just going to help you practice. So do this exercise before you can do the one that I'm going to do give you now. Okay, so we've got exercise 2, number 1, or number 2, and number 3. Now knowing this will then assist us in calculating or in answering questions like this. It says here, find the equation of a line, which is, the sign here stands for perpendicular, which is perpendicular to 2y equals to 3x plus 6, passing through negative 4, negative 4, 3. So this is the gradient that, the coordinate that you are going to use in this equation. Now, if you can see, this equation indicates that we need a coordinate and we need a coordinate and we need a gradient, which is the m. So we cannot tell the gradient if the equation is written like this. So we need to fix it and write it in the standard form. Standard form is y equals to mx plus c. So we divide by 2 so that the y stands on its own on the right hand side. Sorry, on the left hand side. So y equals to, and then everything else must be on this side. So we are lucky that it says 2y here. So the only thing that we need to do is just divide by 2. So you divide by 2 on both sides, and then when you divide by 2, this becomes 3 over 2x, and then 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now the equation is in its standard form, and we can see that m here is 3 over 2. So because we are told that the new line is perpendicular, if it is perpendicular, it means that its gradient is then going to be the negative reciprocal of this. So you flip this and you put the negative sign. So the gradient of the new line is negative 2 over 3. And then you substitute into that general equation. So we've got y minus 3, which is your y1, equals to the new gradient, which is negative 2 over 3, and then x minus 4. Okay, and then you tidy that up, you open up the brackets, negative 2x over 3. Remember, this will be plus 4, so negative 2 plus, times positive 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 over 3, and then you take the 3 to the other side. So the final equation is going to be y equals to negative 2 over 3x plus 1 over 3, and then you can leave it like that. Or you can then multiply by 3, and then it will be something like this, but I suggest that you just leave it like that. Now this is what I meant, that we use this equation and then it will simplify to the standard form. So you don't just leave it here after you substitute your substitution. You have to then simplify it so that it sits in the standard form. So this is your m, and then this is your c. Okay, the second question would be find the equation of a line which is parallel to 2y equals to 3x plus 6 passing through negative 4, 3. So we still have the same information, but now the only difference is that the line is now parallel to this. So again, we need to make sure that this is written in standard form so that we can get the gradient. Okay, so that's what I did. I divided by 2. So y is equals to 3 over 2 x plus 3. Now the gradient, as you can see, the gradient is the number part of the x term. So it is 3 over 2. Okay, so 3 over 2 is the gradient. That is what I've written here. So now since the new line is parallel to this, it means that it will also have a gradient, which is 3 over 2. So here we don't reciprocate, we just take the gradient exactly as it is and we write it again. Okay, so now you have your gradient, you have your coordinate, gradient and coordinate, and then you can just use the equation now as it is. So it is y minus y1, which is 3, equals to m, which is 3 over 2 times x plus 4. And then now you can see this is plus 4 because it was supposed to be minus 4. So I encourage that you just write them like this whenever it's a minus, instead of writing it like this, minus. It's a sign of maturity. So minus will then give you 4 plus 4, and then you open up the bracket. 3 times x is 3x over 2. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6, and then the 3 goes to the other side. Y becomes 3x over 2 plus 9. So these are the type of questions that you can get, but now you need to know the relationship between perpendicular lines and parallel lines, which is indicated in this exercise that you are going to do over here. Okay, so please do exercise 2, number 1 all, number 2 and number 3, and then do also exercise 6, number 1b, d, number 2 and number 3. Number 3 do AB. Number 3, please do AB there. Okay, thank you.